Do you often say yes to things you don't truly want to do? Attending events, taking on responsibilities, or agreeing with someone just to avoid conflict? Are you praised for being sweet, accommodating, selfless while you're exhausted and emotionally numb? There are times when you feel that these are harmless habits, but over time, these behaviors may point towards a deeper psychological issue known as self abandonment, a chronic pattern of neglecting one's own emotions, needs, and boundaries in order to maintain external peace or approval. So, let us try to understand people pleasing from a psychological perspective. People pleasing is not merely being nice. It is coping strategy rooted in early life experiences, particularly in environments where love, acceptance, or safety was conditional. Children who learn that their needs must be suppressed to avoid conflict, gain approval, or prevent from any kind of confrontation are children who are learning that everything depends on these approvals. They try hard to prevent abandonment, often carrying this belief system into adulthood. In clinical terms, this may be linked to attachment trauma, childhood emotional neglect, fear of rejection or abandonment, low self worth, fawning trauma response. These are lesser known survival responses alongside fight, flight, or freeze. Now, what is self abandonment? Self abandonment occurs when we habitually ignore, suppress, or invalidate our own needs, emotions, and boundaries in the service of others to comfort or gain their approval. It's not just about saying yes when we mean no, it's about becoming emotionally estranged from oneself. Now let's look at the common signs of self-abandonment. Agreeing to things out of guilt or fear, not out of genuine desire. Silencing your own opinions to maintain harmony. Apologizing for things that aren't your responsibility. Prioritizing others' emotional needs over your own emotional caretaking. Dismissing your own pain, exhaustion, or joy. Feeling responsible for how others feel. Minimizing your achievements or deflecting your compliments. Over time, this pattern leads to inner conflict, resentment, and a fragmented sense of self. You begin to rely on external validation to feel enough, while your inner voice becomes quieter and less trustworthy. Now, let us review the psychological impact of self abandonment. Unchecked chronic self abandonment can manifest as anxiety, where you constantly are vigilant over others, what they perceive or what is their opinion of you. Depression, suppressed self expression, and unmet emotional needs, which you cannot express. You cannot speak to other people and say how you feel and what are your needs. You experience somatic symptoms like headaches, fatigues, pain in the neck due to all the tension, gastrointestinal issues. Then we have something called the emotional numbness. You feel detached from all the things that you loved doing, from the joy or the purpose of living. Identity confusion, not knowing what you want or who you are as an individual. In clinical therapy, this pattern is often connected to maladaptive core beliefs. Let us review some of them. I must earn love by being useful. If I upset others, I'll be rejected. My needs are a burden. Have you heard yourself or caught yourself saying such things? These beliefs are not facts. They are emotional rules internalized from unsafe or invalidating environments. Healing requires bringing them into conscious awareness and replacing them with more affirming, reality based narratives. Now, how can we reclaim ourselves? The antidote to self abandonment is self connection. In therapy, we generally focus on reparenting the inner self, learning to attune to your needs and emotions with compassion. We teach you boundary building, identifying what feels right for you and saying no with confidence. Emotional awareness, naming and honoring your feelings without guilt. Rewriting beliefs, transforming I am selfish if I put myself first into I am allowed to honor my needs. Somatic awareness, learning to feel safe while saying yes or no signals in the body. Healing begins when you choose to listen to the part of you that has been whispering, "This doesn't feel right." You need to learn to identify that part. The part of you that wants to stop performing and start being. Being kind and caring is beautiful. But if it comes at the cost of abandoning yourself, it's no longer kindness. It's self-erasure. True wholeness begins when we remember we are not responsible for managing others' emotions at the expense of our own. You deserve relationships where authenticity is valued more than compliance. You deserve to feel seen, especially by yourself. Every person carries needs, emotional, physical, psychological, that are essential for a sense of safety, connection, and meaning. But for many women, these needs have been silenced over time, not because they disappeared, but because somewhere along the way, expressing them began to feel unsafe, selfish, or shameful even. Suppression became a strategy for acceptance, belonging, or survival. In childhood, girls may be rewarded for being accommodating, adjusting, polite, and quiet. Emotional needs for attention, affection, or validation might be dismissed or minimized. Over time, they learn that expressing needs brings rejection or discomfort, so they adapt. They become the helper, the overachiever, the emotionally self contained one. But unmet needs don't vanish, they live quietly inside, creating emotional pressure that often goes unspoken. This chronic suppression can lead to a disconnect between a woman's internal experience and her external life. She may appear high functioning, responsible, even happy, but deep inside, There is fatigue, resentment, loneliness, and confusion. She may not even know what she truly wants anymore because her life has been built around denying those very wants. Her nervous system remains in a quiet state of hypervigilance, scanning for safety while trying to maintain control over emotions long buried. The psychological weight of unmet needs shows up in subtle but powerful ways. For example, difficulty forming boundaries, perfectionism, people pleasing, or a deep sense of not enough. It can manifest as chronic anxiety, emotional numbness, low self worth, or a burnout. When a woman comes into therapy and says, I don't even know who I am anymore, she is often referring to a lifetime of suppression. Healing begins with permission, the permission to want, to feel, and to express. When needs are named without judgment, and when a woman begins to listen to the small voice within, something powerful unfolds. The psychological weight doesn't lift all at once, but it becomes manageable. Over time, she stops apologizing for her needs and starts honoring them. And in doing so, she begins the journey back to being herself. You need to let go. It's not that hard. Just stop thinking about it. These are very common statements that is commonly used. But is that how letting go really works? Is it possible to just let go of people or situations and worries close to your heart? Just like a delete button. Absolutely not. This myth makes it even harder to let go of the worries in our real life. Theoretically, it is very easy to ask someone to let go or stop thinking about something. But in real life, it doesn't work, does it? Then is letting go impossible, one might wonder. No, letting go is possible, but actual letting go doesn't look like what theory claims. It is more a subtle feeling. Letting go actually is how, based on the control you have on that thought, it doesn't mean you'll stop worrying about it, but your relationship with the thought changes. You have more control over the thoughts. Here's how letting go of your worries in real life looks like. Let's do a small example. Name your worry. You begin to identify your thought or worry. For example, I'm worried I will mess this up. Identifying your thoughts creates a sense of autonomy from it. Realizing it's not under your control, you stop trying to control the worry, the thought, or the event. You realize you rely and you can't control. You start focusing on what's next. Start working on the next possible option rather than letting your worry weigh you down. Letting go doesn't mean you completely stop obsessing over something. It means you will learn to not let the worry control you. It means you learn to manage every outcome of it. Letting go doesn't really happen with a push of a button. It takes time. Just like a muscle learning a new activity, it requires a lot of patience and resilience. So, next time you decide to let go, take a piece of pen and paper, start writing down what are those things that I am worrying about and how do I feel by holding on to this worry. What are the advantages of holding on to this worry? And what are the advantages of letting it go? You will find some realizations, some answers, and maybe some solutions. Give it a try and let us know in the comments how it went out for you.